Good afternoon. This is Soraya Cruz with this week's discussion board for MED 553. The topic is HR response to employee abuse grievance in a Chicago area school district. I am serving as a human resources liaison for the district, and I will explain the immediate steps I would take in response to this grievance involving employee abuse, supervisory inaction, and potential conflict of interest involving a board member's family relationship. First, the district has a legal and ethical duty to provide a safe workplace free from harassment, intimidation, retaliation, and violence. Chicago Public Schools' comprehensive non-discrimination, harassment, and retaliation policy states that all employees have the right to work in an environment free from harassment and abusive conduct, and that all covered individuals, including employees and board members, must comply with district policy. Because the allegations involve physical intimidation, verbal abuse, repeated targeting of younger male employees, and humiliation in front of students and coworkers, this matter requires immediate intervention. I will begin by formally receiving the grievance in writing, acknowledging receipt, and initiating the district complaint process within 24 hours. I would also implement interim protective measures, such as separating the accused employee from complainants, changing schedules if necessary, and directing all parties to avoid retaliation. Second, I would launch a prompt, impartial, and well-documented investigation. Research shows that timely investigations and transparent procedures reduce organizational liability and improve trust in HR systems. I would also assign an investigator outside the employee's building because the supervisor has already failed to act and may be compromised. The investigation would include interviews with complainants, witnesses, students, if appropriate, the supervisor, and the accused employee. Written statements, prior complaints, security footage, emails, and personal records would also be reviewed. CPS discipline policy identifies threats, intimidation, physical abuse, and verbal abuse by any employee as a serious misconduct that may justify suspension or discharge. Because students witness the conduct, the district must also consider the negative effect on school climate and student safety. Third, I would address the supervisor's failure to act. Supervisors are responsible for responding to complaints, reporting misconduct, and maintaining a safe workplace. Ignoring repeated reports creates liability for the district and communicates tolerance for abuse. According to workplace misconduct literature, leadership inaction often worsens toxic behavior and increases turnover, absenteeism, and fear among staff. Therefore, the supervisor should face a separate investigation for neglect of duty, failure to report, and failure to supervise. Possible consequences could include written reprimand, mandatory corrective training, suspension, or reassignment, depending on findings and prior history. Finally, the board member relationship must be handled carefully to avoid interference or favoritism. CPS ethics policy requires board members to avoid conflicts of interest and refrain from influencing decisions involving personal interests. Therefore, I would notify legal counsel and require the board member to recuse themselves from all discussions, votes, and communications related to this matter. If the allegations are substantiated, consequences for the abusive employee may range from mandatory counseling and final warning to suspension or termination depending on the severity and history. My final recommendation would also include district-wide anti-harassment training, stronger complaint reporting systems, and leadership accountability measures. The goal is not only to discipline, but to restoring trust, safety, and professionalism throughout the district. Thank you. Hope you have a great night.